Welcome to the Intuitive Hour with psychic medium, author, and intuitive life coach, Michelle Beltran. The Intuitive Hour will empower you to learn how to magnify your intuitive voice. Listen in and expand your understanding of what it means to be psychic and how to awaken, amplify, and trust your inner voice.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Intuitive Hour, Awaken Your Inner Voice. I'm your host, Michelle Beltran. I'm sure happy you've decided to drop in today. Our next 15 minutes will continue our discussion and learning about psychic development. On our agenda is a discussion about who or what is psychic and about being psychic. I'll also be taking a moment to talk about your third eye, what it is, where it's located, and how you can access it. All right, so let's just get started right away with who or what is a psychic. So I teach that a psychic is a person who recognizes the supernatural capabilities of the mind and works to expand his or her skills and develop those abilities lying outside the realm of physical science or earthly understanding. Powers and abilities that function outside the domain of natural laws. Psychic abilities involve skills to interpret, manipulate, and report on events and information that can't be acquired within the sphere of physical science. Psychics, to a large extent, deal with things pertaining to the human soul and mind. They engage in powers relating to spiritual forces, the immaterial, and the influences of universal energy. Such efforts result in the development of insights and abilities like telepathy and clairvoyance. People who have worked at developing their psychic abilities will find they become proficient in one or several of the activities commonly referred to as mediumship, clairvoyance, telepathy, mind reading, ESP, palmistry, and other aids to spiritual exploration. Psychic abilities can be acquired by anyone who takes the time and makes the effort to study and learn. It isn't necessary to be highly evolved or believe in psychic inclinations that may have occurred in childhood. Everyone has psychic potential, but their abilities often remain inactive until something triggers them into action. Psychic ability, like any skill, develops only when wanted and practiced. It fades when it is neglected. Scientific proof that psychic powers exist is gaining ground. Thousands practice the art, and thousands more believe. Physicist and author Russell Targ states in his book, The Reality of ESP, the scientific evidence that we all possess psychic abilities is, and I quote, now overwhelming, and modern physics has the means and tools to embrace it, end quote. Mediums and psychics have been relaying messages and conducting readings for thousands of years. Even Solomon sought the advice of a spiritualist and received it, although he acted against God's instructions. The result was he obtained information about the outcome of an upcoming battle. Today, there are a larger number of spiritualists practicing than ever before, and there is a greater acceptance of spiritual expressions. 72% of all Americans describe themselves as spiritual, but not religious. Individuals like Oprah Winfrey, Alice Walker, Richard Bach, Elizabeth Gilbert, Louise Hay, and Neil Donald Walsh are some of those Americans. Psychic practices are no longer considered taboo, and people who side with those beliefs are no longer considered bizarre, creepy, or peculiar. The psychic profession is now accepted. It is a practice that endeavors to uncover an inner view of the soul and the universal connection of souls. Psychics believe, since we are all souls and we are all connected, we are all psychic on some level. How adept we become at using those psychic tendencies is up to us. Growth takes training. Training to be a psychic, like the training for any occupation, is necessary. And because you have the power of choice, you can decide to develop your psychic gifts whenever you want and for whatever reason you want. No one, even those in the psychic community, knows for sure or can prove where psychic gifts come from. So it is up to you to trust the process and believe that any psychic power can be acquired. The psychic community believes spiritual energies are working for the good of humankind, energies that will guide you to the realization of your true spiritual nature and to the highest expression of who you are. They believe that psychic gifts, when used properly, benefit you and do not function to flatter your ego. Psychic practices support identifying the true essence of the soul and illuminate for the world the true nature and meaning of spirituality. As we segue into about being a psychic, it's important to understand the difference between those with psychic sensibilities and those without, and that is simply a matter of training and intention. The mind is not just a function of the body like an arm or a leg. It is a very powerful tool from which we can access the universe and our inner selves. Each of us can learn to stand in our own power, in our own way, and in our own time. Psychic training can do all of that. Psychics and those who are interested in investigating the power of the universe and the unexplainable share the same characteristics. You've met them. They are people who seem to know what's going to happen before it happens. Those who seem to read minds. Those who are both cursed and blessed by being highly intuitive. They are people who appear to go about their lives in a different way. They pay particular attention to their inner voice and listen to its urgings. They pay attention to their bodies and are not afraid to be mystical. They make time for solitude and take advantage of opportunities to contemplate the mysteries of existence. They cherish creativity and put time into feeding that creativity. They observe everything around them and attempt to make sense of what they see. They are drawn to finding the truth in others and in the world. And finally, they pay very close attention to their dreams, knowing that truth can be found in the spirit world as well as the physical world. Perhaps now take a moment to consider if any of these resonate with you. Sometimes a person will find himself or herself inundated with a strong suspicion of being more intuitive and more introspective than most. It is quite common that a person will come face to face with an overwhelming desire to find out what is actually behind what is seemingly unexplainable. Life often changes in an instant, forcing us to adjust to new information and new realities. But our adjustments to those changes are often gradual. Life changes can be like a soft, sloping curve on which we find ourselves on the other side of a theory without having recognized the forces that moved us there. Everything begins with feelings and occurrences you know are more than mere coincidence, strange and undeniable knowings you find impossible to ignore. You may have experienced a strong urge to call a relative, only to find out that you were needed at that very moment. Experiences like these happen more often to you than to others. During those times, acting on those feelings or urges, not logic, produces positive results. There may be times you suspect there is something beyond what's called reality, something residing in the world of the paranormal. It is said that psychic connections are made when a person picks up information in an uncommon way or from an unusual source. Psychic connections are said to be in play when a person acquires knowledge he or she could not have known, information emanating from a source outside of individual understanding, separate from any previous experiences or prior knowledge. While there is no scientific proof that these occurrences are psychic in nature, science has yet to explain them. Any psychic will attest that the proof is in the pudding. He or she has seen it and knows that such information comes directly from the universal mind, the higher self, and or vibrations sent by other souls, the universal matrix. Psychics believe paranormal principles are the explanation. Numerous techniques exist by which a person can investigate these mysteries. The investigations center entirely on different psychic practices and specialties psychics pursue. A majority of individuals believe intuition gives us the same information that comes from logical evaluation, personal experience, learned knowledge, and educated conclusions. However, psychics believe that they not only have access to information intuition provides, but that they have the benefit of information that has been passed down from the universe for millennia. They believe information is accessible at the behest of the universal mind and often available through a connection with deceased souls residing in a different reality. Psychics tune into higher sources from outside the human intellect, beyond intuition and learning. Tuning into higher sources of information begins when individuals aggressively direct their focus on becoming aware of themselves and the world around them. Every day they engage in the paranormal practice of communicating with a higher realm of consciousness, but they are just not aware of doing so. Once you purposely make it a point to become aware, you will begin to find something else is at work. If you take time to analyze events nonchalantly referred to as coincidences, hunches, urges, or even that inner voice, you will come to realize there is more to know about reality. It is even possible that you may discover or become aware of the psychic strengths you tend to have. Pay attention to all your hunches, urges, and coincidences, and see if there are deeper messages and/or meanings. In order to stretch your mind's ability to glean more, listen to them. Psychics look deep into their daily happenings in an effort to make sense of their lives and the roles they play in the universe. As a result of centering on their awareness, they learn from which specific events they receive most of their insights. This knowledge alerts future psychics to what the essence of their future practices should be. It is not uncommon for one specific psychic practice or perhaps several different practices to resonate solidly with you, techniques that seem more in tune with your soul self than others. All practices are worth exploring in a sincere effort to find your way. Your intention to become aware of your surroundings and yourself will lead you to psychic practices most representing your connection with other dimensions and realities. Those who learn to interpret their urges and those who sincerely attempt to develop their psychic natures will find the following becomes true. Your meditations and methods of concentration will strengthen communication between the two hemispheres of your brain. They will enhance the brain's overall activity level and thereby increase brain function. The practice of psychic energy will place your mind and body in balance. Your overall physical, emotional, and spiritual well-being will improve. You will achieve a balanced mind and body connection that will greatly facilitate the reception of psychic messages. It will open the way for clearer thinking and reasoning. Your insights involving your inner voice will improve. Your senses will become finely tuned. That includes seeing, hearing, smelling, touching, and tasting. You will develop a sixth sense, a more intuitive knowing. The meditations and other techniques you practice will improve your concentration and awareness. You will develop an open pathway to your subconscious. You will uncover hidden truths about yourself and situations in your life. You will experience enhanced recognition of your inner voice that will help prevent the buildup of negative emotions and thinking. You will gain a more complete perspective on issues. Finally, you will begin to make more integrated decisions. To embark on the serious development of personal psychic abilities, you must purposely engage in investigating the powers existing within and around you. A psychic pursuit is never a selfish pursuit. The psychic pathway is gentle, powerful, and always non-coercive. As we begin to wind down today, let's talk about your third eye and how to access it. Think of your third eye as the seat of your clairvoyance. Clairvoyance meaning clear seeing. Clair meaning clear. Voyance meaning to see. It's a psychic center of sorts, and it's located above your brow, behind your forehead. This is where intuitive and psychic images and impressions arise from. We'll talk at length about this later in our podcast series, but I'd like to leave you all with a fun exercise to assist you in opening this center. Okay, so here we go. I want to ask you to first place any finger from your non-dominant hand. Your non-dominant hand, if you are right-handed, your non-dominant hand is your left hand. If you're left-handed, your non-dominant hand would be your right hand. So with your non-dominant hand, place any finger between your eyes and above the bridge of your nose. Then push up slightly toward the center of your forehead. Next, gently rotate your finger to the left a few times. Now, to the right a few times. Next, take a deep breath. Imagine an eye opening wide here. This is where your third eye is located. Visualize the details of this eye. Is it round or almond-shaped? Are there lashes? Are they long or short? Is there a color? What is that? Now simply be mindful of this wide open eye as you go through your day. Allow any gentle messages to be received. This simple exercise is letting your third eye know that you're ready to get started, that you're ready to receive messages. As a reminder, I invite you to reach out with any comments or questions from today's podcast with an email to mbeltran@michellebeltran.com. I'm already looking forward to our time together next week.
If you enjoyed this episode of the Intuitive Hour, please consider following, rating, and reviewing the podcast at Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen. You're welcome to access Michelle's free controlled remote viewing exercise that will empower you to uncover answers to your burning questions about lost objects, events, or people in the past, present, or future. Visit michellebeltran.com to access this free offering and rediscover what was once lost.